this week we are going back to our Don't Sleep On feature. So if you haven't seen one of our previous shows where we did a Don't Sleep On feature, essentially we chat about an old movie that didn't do very well commercially or critically, but we think that it has some value and are worth playing or watching. And just to note, by no means are we saying these are the greatest examples of their respective genres, unless we say otherwise. But what we're doing is we're just saying they're not as bad as you might think. So don't be put off by what you might have heard from other critics or stuff. Don't sleep on them, basically, is what we're saying. Don't sleep on these games because they have some value and you could have some fun. So, Scotty, I'll let you kick this one off. What is your Don't Sleep On this week?
Yeah, so I have probably talked about this on the podcast before. I don't know if I went into that much depth, but I have chosen Tempo on the 32X. My case is very beat up. I'm sorry, everyone, but whatever. Hey, I got the case, though.
Yeah, I have to say, none of my 32X games have cases, so well done.
I do not have the manual, which is kind of crucial to play this game. But it is a cool... So the SEGA 32X, nobody bought one. It was such a victim of circumstance and other things, and it's just a shame that it had a lot of potential. It's a shame that it didn't really go anywhere. I was trying to look up like any actual reviews on this game, but I can't even find anything. But what it is it's a platformer, and it's an overlooked platformer that just since it was on the 32X, nobody played it, I feel like. But it has so much going on. It's so colorful and vivid. It's like if you took Dynamite Heady, the first Rayman, Ristar, and they all vomited into the same toilet. That would be this game, but fun. The sprite work is great. I did actually I played it on a whim on stream once, and I ended up beating the game because it was just so much fun and very chill. It is one of those games where you don't have to play the levels in order. It's a game show type atmosphere, so that's where it takes from Dynamite Heady a little bit, I feel like.
Okay.
But it's not a speedy thing like Sonic. You do walk around. You can run, but I'm trying to find... I did find a review here, but it's not giving me a number. But it's so colorful. The sprite work is great. There are mini games in it that are just ridiculous that you don't actually play as Tempo in one of them. And it's a Twitch clip of ours where I was playing this rhythm game where you're an ant eating pizza, like stealing slices of pizza as the lady ant is watching TV, and I think she doesn't want him to eat all the pizza. So the mini game is you have to like hit a button to eat it in time, or you'll get punched in the face by the wife ant. I don't know, but and it gets faster as you go. It's like like goes crazy fast, and I was like in the zone playing this thing.
Oh, nice!
It was very good. It was very cool. And it's not too long of a game, but there are times where you'll get not a health pick, but like an item or this hand. It's like a glove with a number on it, which means you can jump, you can kick, and you can fire out these notes. So with his name being Tempo, the box art on the front is not at all how Tempo actually looks in this game. But it's got a great soundtrack, but he's like a goofy little bug thing, and he does use music as a weapon. He fire out notes, and as you power it up, it shoots them in all directions. When you get an item that brings his girlfriend into play, she's one of the... if you hit a button, she'll go over and just kill whatever enemies on the screen. There's a button combo that when you have your girlfriend with you, you do some sort of dance routine, and then suddenly all the enemies on the screen are killed. I didn't learn that until way later on, during a boss fight randomly. Because I don't know. I didn't read the instruction manual, but you need to for this thing. And there's to give an idea of how random this game is. One of the first levels, you're going into the stomach of a dog, and the first part of it is just his mouth chomping up and down. You have to avoid his teeth or you die. And then you eventually get in there, and you're there's different blood cells in the background and all kinds of crazy stuff. But then the boss is a giant boxing glove in a boxing ring, and I don't know. Yep.
Wow.
So it had a sequel, or it had a kind of a light version released on the Game Gear, which I was trying to look up the price of that. Unfortunately, this game on 32X goes for a pretty penny of rounding out to $50 loose or $116 complete. Let me check on the Game Gear one. because the Game Gear one is Tempo Junior, and it's very much a light version of this, like not as extensive. I don't know if you even have the girlfriend power up. Jesus, that goes for $40 loose, or even more than the 32X game complete. And then there's a Sega Saturn sequel that was only in Japan. I think it's called Super Tempo, that I do want to get, but that one's also pricey. Lots of people in the Megavisions Discord are a fan of this now and like fully support this game. I'm not saying it's all because of my stream, but I think that helped, and it was a lot of fun. One of the most fun streams I've had, because the chat was into it, and it was like this hidden gem from the library, and as a result of that, I was watching Game Tracks, who's another streamer. He was on the Scrubverse podcast, their last episode. He was playing the first Rayman and just not raging out, but that game gets difficult, like not fun, difficult eventually. And so I was like, dude, you gotta play Tempo. It's the same aesthetic, but a little better and not as rage-inducing. And so he popped that on, and like the chat was going nuts. He was like, "This is actually a legitimate good game. I'm gonna have to come back to this." So I felt good that we like cultured another
nice
with Tempo. It's such a fun and weird thing. If you have a 32X, grab it. If not, find a way to play it, because I do recommend it for any platformer fans. Maybe I'll stream it again someday. I don't know. I feel like I got to do more 32X streams. But Tempo is a solid. If I can find. Actually, I can play Japanese games on my Saturn because I have the Action Replay now.
Oh, brilliant!
I don't know if I want to. I just don't know if I want to plunk down that cash for that. Maybe I'll find the Game Gear version or something. Maybe I'll stream it this week. I don't know, but it's. Have you? Did you? You said you have 32X games. Have you played this one, Graham?
I have not. I just had to quickly look. I just tried to look, see if I could find the price on a local store that I go to, which will list games even if they're out of stock, just to see roughly how much they cost. But it did not have it on there. I've just gone to Wikipedia, and it was not released in Europe or PAL regions. It was released in Japan, North America, and Brazil. So
Brazil gets stuff that doesn't make any sense, but that sounds about right, because there were like. Amongst the 32X, if you can find the Japanese box art, it's a lot more fun looking. That's not going to show up. It kind of shows up. But like, I don't like what they did with the US art, where he just looks like this ripped, cool dude.
So for the listeners, the audio listeners, on the Japanese version, it looks like Tempo is very much the kind of like the character that's in the video game. Very cute, very animated.
Big eyes.
Big eyes, like a fun cartoon character. On the American version, it's kind of drawn like one of those kind of, I guess, gritty. It looks like
he fits in the comic zone better than his own game with the American.
Yeah, I guess so. It's not realistic, but it's almost like he's being drawn to be slightly more realistic than the video game version, the actual game character is, if that makes sense.
Here's a comparison. So the Japanese box art is like fun, bulbous. Like goofy looking Looney Tunes almost, but then you go to the Tempo American box art, and it's like what they almost made Sonic look like in the new movie.
I was actually going to say that.
Ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
he's actually got toned muscles and stuff.
Yeah. Yes, that was kind of that's kind of semi where I was leading with the analogy I was trying to present, that they tried to make him look more realistic, but not really realistic, just like they did in the Sonic movie originally with Sonic. So, yeah, wow. And there's like spiders and what appears to be some sort of octopus with horns on it on the front cover of the American box art. Is that what I'm looking at? What am I looking at there?
Octopus thing? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, it's got like bull horns as well, like just sticking up. Anyway,
tentacles and stuff.
Cool. This looks good. And weirdly, though, I don't know if there's another game with a similar title, but when you mentioned Tempo, for some reason I immediately thought of an elephant, but it's not an elephant clearly in this game. I don't know why.
Tempo the Badass Elephant was a Sega game.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think in my head I'd heard of it, and I was picturing this elephant. Then you showed me the box art. I was like, that's not what I'm thinking of.
Holy shit! This box art it looks like the American, but they took off the glasses, and it is bad. And I'm going to share it to you in our chat right now. And maybe we can, just for listeners, I'll link that tweet or something too. But it's bad. It's bad looking.
That's freaky. Okay, yeah, we can share that in the video, and maybe you can put it in the audio like description thing. A link to that. That's ooh, that's a thing. Wow.
But it's a good game. It's a great platformer that I'm afraid not many people have played, and more people need to.
Yeah. Cool. I will. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get the official version. Maybe I'll try and check it out.
I think the 32X is region locked, but I don't know for certain.
I thought it was. I could be wrong on that, so we'll have a look at that. But yeah, cool, awesome. So that's you. Brilliant. That's a good one. I'm loving it. I feel that's one of those games that a lot of people wouldn't have got to play, and it's sad though that
there's some really solid 32X games, and that's one of them.
Yeah, the 32X did have some surprisingly good games on it, and it's sad that I think because it sold so badly, most of them are expensive now, with the exception of like Virtua Fighter and Doom, which seem to be everywhere. Right. I can easily get those games, although not boxed. Getting them boxed is actually quite hard, I found. At least over here. I don't know about in America, but
I want to complete a 32X collection, and it is a pain to find because it was those stupid cardboard boxes. So
yeah,
I have like 5 games, and they have their boxes, but I don't have a box for like Colibri, which is going to be. I might just go to Etsy to find someone that makes them or something. I did already go to Etsy to find. This is. I don't know how OCD you are, Graham, but I hate like this and N64 cartridges don't have the name on the top.
Right.
So I did find on Etsy. I didn't put it on this one, but I did find on Etsy stickers for the whole library. Since there's only 40 games, it wasn't that much to find stickers to put on top of the cartridges. So that helps for the ones that don't have boxes in my collection.
Yeah, and you're lucky to get Colibri because that's one of those games which I'd love to get a proper version of that, but it's so expensive.
I was collecting for the 32X before I owned a 32X. I have Knuckles Chaotix somewhere, but I can't find it.
Oh man. Wow.
But that's what literally, aside from like Virtual Racing and Fahrenheit, that TJ actually gave me. Fahrenheit's one of the 32X / Sega CD titles.
Okay.
Actually, let me see if I can. I'm sorry for everything. Oh, my hat's in the way. Hold on. This is worth it.
Okay. So for the audience listeners, Scotty is currently moving his hat out of the way of his gaming shelf.
And I'm going to move the camera a little bit. You can see my small 32X collection right there. Is that on camera?
That is on camera, yep.
Yeah, it's like literally 5 or 6 games. But with how small the library is, that's, what, 20% of it?
Yeah, true. Wow.
So,
brilliant.
Yeah, that's me, though.
Cool. So for me this week, for my game that I should suggest people do not sleep on is this game, which is Viking Battle for Asgard, which did come out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 back in 2008. It was then re-released on Steam on the PC in 2012. If you don't know about it, it is published by Sega, so it's a Sega game, and it's developed by the Creative Assembly, a Sega-owned studio, and they're better known for their Total War franchise. So, the epic scale battles, RTS games, but more recently, they're probably very well known for Alien Isolation. And the thing, so they made Alien Isolation. Did I get that wrong? They made Alien Isolation, didn't they?
You said Creative Assembly?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure they did.
Yeah, okay, good. Oh, you worried. You had me seeding my own doubt there. Brilliant, thank you. So if you don't know about this game, it is an action hack and slash. So it's very different to the other games they've actually made. So very different to Total War. They did do one sort of game in the Total War, kind of in the Total War series, called Spartan Total Warrior. Which is not an RTS game, and that was also a 3D hack and slash game. So that's probably the most comparable game they made previously. But this one is set in like basically big open environments. It's set on 3 islands, based on Norse mythology, and the first island is pretty big, but then the second and third islands are massive. They're really big, epic scale, and the thing about it is. it didn't do very well critically. I think it didn't sell too well, so it got very mixed reviews, mostly average reviews when it came out. The game can be a little slow at times. Scarin, this big Viking guy, he's a bit slow at times. Like he kind of moves sluggishly, like I guess a big muscly Viking would do. And I say the islands are huge and they're pretty sparse. There are enemies around them, but there's not a huge amount to do. There's like no real side quests or bonuses like a big open world game would normally have. So you can explore the islands. It's kind of cool to explore areas, but there's not really much else to find and do around them. And also each of the islands that you go to, you have the same sort of key objectives to do on all of them. So you're kind of repeating. They're obviously in different locations and stuff, and they look a little bit different, but generally there's like just a few things you kind of have to do. And the premise, though, is that essentially you play this guy called Scarin, who in the opening cutscene, you are killed in a battle. So you're a Viking, you're killed in a battle, but then you're resurrected by the goddess Freya. And you are then basically fighting fighting for the mortal realm of Midgard. So you're basically trying to save Asgard, which is like if anyone's watched the Marvel movies, it's the world the gods live in, basically. But Hel, who's another goddess, she's basically trying to raise an army of the undead to basically take over Midgard and also take over Asgard effectively. So you're basically brought back to life by Freya, even though you're kind of raised from the dead. You're not undead. You're still like a normal Viking because you're a good guy. But yeah, so it's up to you to sort of basically help defeat the forces, and you do that by going around helping slow down their forces by doing some of the missions. But then you actually lead armies into battle to fight Hell's forces, basically on each of the maps. And I think the storyline is this basic storyline is actually decent enough, and it's told through a few cutscenes throughout. The environments are very, as I say, they're massive open, but they're very impressive, and they kind of gives you this really nice atmosphere of the Norse sort of feeling, I guess, to it. The combat in the game is actually really solid. It's really fun, really good combat, really enjoyable. You unlock new abilities the more you play and stuff. Like you can go to these training areas and unlock new abilities, which really help you in the game. The visuals for its time are very solid. I wouldn't say that the greatest visuals at the time, but they were actually very good. And considering the scale of everything, it's really impressive. There's some sort of stealthy bits in it, which I really enjoyed. So running around sneaking up behind enemies is really cool. There's some really brutal moves, like you do cut off people's arms and heads and stuff. And there's sort of some slow motion moments and stuff. The game does have QTEs at certain points, but I think that actually works pretty well. It's not quite like Shenmue or Shenmue 2's like lengthy QTE chases and stuff like that they have. It's more a couple of button presses rather than like whole like long chases and scenes like that. But it's on some of the large enemies you fight. You get enemies which are like the size of houses, basically, which you fight them. But then to kill them, they have like a little mini QTEs where you sort of like swing up and like get on their back and like smash them, basically.
Like God of War.
Yeah, kind of like God of War. And in fact, that was the thing. When this game came out, everyone was comparing it to God of War because it kind of looks a little bit similar in some ways. And yeah, it's got that kind of style of game. I personally feel it's different enough to God of War. That's definitely worth a play. And the reason why I love it so much, and the thing that really impressed me with it, is the large scale battles that you have. It's all in real time. It's all like still third person, still fighting, but you've literally got thousands of people on the screen at once. Like you've got people on your side, you've got the enemy fighters. You're literally running into a battle, and it's freaking amazing. It was just so the first map you do it, there's like a few hundred that you saw fighting. I was like, oh, this is a bit crazy. And then one of the other maps, like one of the other environments, it's just literally charging down to a battlefield towards a fortress, and there's literally just thousands of people just like coming behind you and in front of you. It's like, oh my god, this is insane. And you're just like in there, you're duking it out. You can also unlock this ability to get help from these dragons who will come down and like drop like fire bombs on some of the enemies and stuff. They're almost like a special ability, like in Streets of Rage, for example, the original Streets of Rage, where you only got to be able to use it once or twice, basically during a battle. But there was also some really cool bits exploring the world, because in the game, there's some areas where the enemies are just all positioned in an area and they'll walk around that. But then there's some other like legions of enemies who will literally walk around the entire map, like on marching around and stuff. And there's one moment where I had to try and sneak into an enemy base. And I remember like sitting on this ridge just over it. I started to sneak out and I heard this marching sound. I was like, what the hell's that? And I looked to my right and just over the hill was literally 200 enemies just like marching in marching formation coming towards me. I was like, oh crap. And I was in a position where I kind of had to run, but I couldn't go back up the hill because I just slid down it. So I was having to run and try and get away from them. But some of them saw me. So I was getting chased by like 200 enemies at one point. I was like, oh my God, like it's insane. Because there's no way I could defeat them all. Because even though you're a good fighter in it, you can't take on that many people. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those games where it almost you make your own mini adventure, I guess, almost just by just going around doing things your way. But yeah, I know the game's got flaws. I'm not saying it's a perfect game, but I think it was really fun. As I say, it's available on PC. It might be backwards compatible on Xbox, actually. On Xbox One, I mean. I guess I might have to double check that, actually. But yeah, if you can, check it out. It'll be cheap. I think it's cheap on Xbox 360 and PS3 if you can find a second-hand copy. If not, it's on Steam. And yeah, love it. Brilliant. Have you played this at all, or?
No, I know of it. I remember thinking the box art was very generic.
Yeah, I'll try to hold the box up again. It's basically just scaring the main character, holding two weapons, a sword and an axe.
It's unfortunate that it basically just got compared to God of War and then tossed aside, especially when around this time the newest God of War games were like on PSP and eventually 3 came out on the PS3. I haven't touched it though. So have you played Brutal Legend at all?
Yes. Yeah. I like Brutal Legend.
It's kind of like gradually, because that game does a weird switcheroo on you, like a bait and switch, and eventually turns into a real-time strategy game. And it sounds like it gets to that point, but not so much with the tactics aspect.
Yeah. So Brutal Legend obviously does have the very much actual real RTS. Yeah, like almost tower defense style game as well. The way you control your enemies. Control your armies. Viking Battle for Asgard doesn't really at all. Yeah, so you are just in massive scale battles, but you're just one guy running around fighting, and it's awesome.
Nice.
It's very. It's a shame
it got overshadowed, but yeah, it sounds like something people could easily pick up and dive into.
Yeah, I'd like to stream it one day. I think it'd be a fun game to stream, especially when just getting into the large scale battles. I think it's because this is like one of those games I feel at the time that Sega was actually pumping out some quality titles, but no one seemed to care about. Yeah, and different titles. It's not another Sonic game or Yakuza game. As much as I love Sonic and Yakuza, I think they're both great franchises. This was a different game they were trying out, and just sadly, they didn't make another one because it didn't do so well. And it's annoying because I feel like even though you could argue this is an average game, it did so many things right that I think there was something there. They could definitely build on it. They could work on it.
Maybe an anniversary's coming up. They'll re-release it. I don't know.
Maybe 2022 could be the year. Yeah. Or wait, actually, it was 2018 would have been the 10-year. But yeah, 2022 for the PC version. So yeah, come on, Sega, you can do it. Oh dear. But yeah, so that's it. I guess that wraps up our feature this week, which was the Don't Sleep On feature. So those are a couple of games we think you shouldn't sleep on. Don't necessarily believe the critics or the reviews you've read. So check it out for yourself. See if you can enjoy it. And if you have played it or you do play it after we suggest it, let us know what you think. If you really hated it, we still want to hear about it because it'd be interesting to see what you think. If give us the reasons why, and just let us know. We can use that in the feedback and let the rest of the world know why you hated it or why you loved it. If you loved it, that's even better because it shows that we're actually not just talking bullshit.
This is also one of the few features we've now brought back, along with all the new features we're looping into the format of the podcast now. So this is the second time we've done this one. We think it's good enough to bring back another time. What do you guys think? If not, if it's boring, if it's great, if you want more, let us know.
Absolutely, yeah. And we will be rotating back some of the other features we've done in the past. That's the idea of them, the ones that we can keep doing over and over again if we want to, if you guys want to. So yes, let us know. That'll do it, I guess. So thanks everybody for watching, for listening, for sending in your feedback and your questions. We love you guys, and yeah, be excellent to each other.
See ya.
See ya.